Welcome again to SUAANGAN. My name is Stan Rubin. Tonight our topic is sobriety and living with it. Our guests tonight are Emilio Gomez from Arizona. He is a field evangelist. Also Charles Tija, who is from Whitehorse and currently lives in Inuvik. And our host narrator for ICS, Leonard Harry. Emilio, I'd like to know where you're from and what your life was like before you decided to become sober.
Well, I'm originally from Texas, and my home is in Arizona on the Navajo Indian Reservation. And for years, I was a drug addict and alcoholic. And most of the time, I didn't want to change. I enjoyed my life. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't want to change. But after it came to a point where I did want to change, then I had problems.
How was your life before you changed? And tell us a little about why you became sober.
Just as Emilio, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol, among other things. And I did a lot of traveling around, being a musician, but always trying to exist with alcohol and drugs, hoping that someday maybe, you know, that I could, but I came to the realization that I was getting nowhere. And over the years, just things built up, and I had no choice but to turn my life around.
Well, I grew up with alcohol in the family, and at first, when I first started drinking, I had good time, and I thought I had good time, but later on, when I keep on drinking, and I become alcoholic. Couldn't go without alcohol, so I don't know, I got to where it's like there was no return, so I asked for help from Delta House. I went to Delta House first, then I did good, and then I guess I got carried away again, and then I went to Henwood in Edmonton. Those guys really helped me, so trying to go on with those guys that trying to help.
What was your turning point that made you want to change?
Well, for years, my life had been a constant party. I had gotten married when I was about 22, and I had 4 children. And because of my drug addiction and alcoholism, I just walked out of the house one day and I left them, abandoned them, thinking in my mind that I would be back, you know, right away. And I was involved with I was a criminal. I had like a career criminal. I became a career criminal, and I was involved in armed robbery that failed, and I wound up in prison. And even after I got out on parole, they told me that I should attend AA meetings, and I didn't really feel like it. I was only in my 20s at that time, and I knew that I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't a drunk, although that was my problem. I didn't recognize it, drug addiction. And I continued for more than 10 years in that type of environment, more and more. Then I was arrested again and went to prison again the second time, over 10 years in between the two. And that last time, and that judge told me that if I was ever to appear before his court for any reason, even what they called a misdemeanor, not a felony, that he would sentence me to life in prison, and that really set me back because I loved my freedom. And I did enjoy the things that I was doing, you know, the excitement of crime and things like that. But I came to realize and accept the fact that my life was going nowhere, that I really needed help, and I didn't know exactly how to go about it. So that was a turning point in my life, and I remember going to a traditional people and asking for help, and became a member of the Native American church, which I use peyote. And at the same time there, I found out that a lot of the medicine men, they're called road men back home, they drank alcohol, whiskey, beer, wine. They smoked marijuana, used different drugs. Not all of them, but the ones that I knew were doing that. And so in my mind, I wondered, how can this man help me, you know, quit my addictions when they're using these things? And I also realized that peyote is a drug. It's a mescaline, hallucinogenic, and so it helped me to become sober for about a period of 2 weeks or so, and then I was back into drinking and back into the regular drugs and things. And boy, it was just really rough.
Charles, why did you change?
One of the points, or one of the things that really stuck out, there was a nurse who took an interest in my life, who felt that I didn't belong on the riverbank. I didn't suit drinking wine or shaving lotion. So she made an appointment for me, and I went to see a doctor to have a medical. And after the tests, he sat down with me and he said, Charlie, he said, I can't butter this up for you. I had already, that last binge was 8 months up to that point, every day. Mm. And he said, Charlie, you drink quite a bit. I said, yeah. He said, well, you keep on going and I'll give you a few more months. He said, you're going to be dead. And even just to demonstrate how powerful alcohol is, I still drank knowing that I was going to die. But after 13 months, with the help of caring people, my sister and some other people who were living around Whitehorse at the time, without pushing me or prodding me, I managed to stop drinking. That was my last binge, and that was 9 years ago.
Leonard, how difficult was it to
stop?
Or no, how difficult was it to keep drinking?
Oh, it's very difficult to. When you get up in the morning, you have hangover. I mean, when you drink long time, like a month or two, you know, and then you drink it. Some mornings you get up, you have hangover, and then when you drink some more, you still have hangover. Just like getting worse and worse and worse. Then until you pass out, and next morning is same thing over and over. You pass out, then you get up to hangover, getting worse and worse. So drinking drugs like shaving lotion, Lysol spray, drinking all that down at the Twin Lakes. So my sisters, they try to help me to quit drinking. They keep after me for, I don't know how many years, 20 years I guess, they keep after me. And then finally I decided to try it. Since then I'm trying hard to quit. I even go to Delta House and Henwood.
Emilio, how difficult was it to start to lead a life of sobriety?
Well, it was very difficult. I tried many times. I tried on my own to quit drinking, and I quit drinking for up to 10 months. Willpower, I just knew that I could handle it. And then I found myself going by a bar, you know, in Arizona. It's pretty hot, and I thought, well, I can handle it now. I'll just stop in for one cold mixed drink, and boy, it was just back to the same thing. Sometimes I quit for 6 months, for 1 month, once I quit for half an hour, and then back to drinking again. So it was very difficult. And finally, I went to a alcohol rehabilitation center on our reservation, the Ganado alcohol program. And I told my wife, I says, I want to quit these addictions. You know, I want to be sober because this is my second wife, and I had come back from a job and I blew it. I was all drunk and wasted and everything. She told me, this is it, you know, for about 100 times. And she said, I don't care if you don't love me, but why don't you love your son? And there I had like a mental flashback, and I knew that I had left a family for years before, 4 kids. And so I said, I've got to do it. I said, I'll do it. And so I decided to go to that program, and that's the best thing I have ever done in my life, because there I got some help to recognize that I was an alcoholic, what to do about it, and how to cope with those things. And I learned a lot in that program, and today I praise God that I went there.
Charles, going back to drinking, who were you when you drank?
Back then, Charles Tija was the big joker, life of the party. Proud. For the wrong reasons. Hard to get along with. Violent. Criminal. It's hard to talk about, especially when you're sober. When you look back and the realities hit you in the face of living that life. Charles Tija sought out skid rows, abusive relationships with women. When you live like that, those are the kind of people you find. Those are the kind of people that enter your life. Because you reject everything else. Full of self-hatred. Against the world. Very hard human being. No feelings. There's even being sober 9 years, there are some feelings that I'm still trying to grasp, which is it's very hard to do. Because it took a long time to become hard.
There are probably going to be a lot of alcoholics in the future. How different is the knowledge they receive now as opposed to many years back?
You mean in obtaining a sobriety, or?
Yeah.
I just feel that I went to an excellent program. It helped me tremendously. It was very successful, and since then, this is over 9 years ago, and since then I have traveled, I travel extensively, and I'm still active in AA, and I see that there are some good programs. The material that is presented is excellent in most of them, but I find that it is up to the individual to take advantage of the material being presented there, because the people that went through the program where I went, I find that most of them have gone back to drinking. Yet there are a number who are successful as I am today. And so it depends on the individual's choice, you know, to take advantage of those things that are offered in the different programs. They're powerful.
If you knew the knowledge back then as you did now, what do you think would have happened?
I probably would have quit then. See, I realized I had a drinking problem when I was 23 years old. What I'm saying is that that's when I admitted it to myself. But I didn't have the tools to stop. I didn't know how. So it was a constant struggle with something that was more powerful than I was, because I didn't have the tools to fight it. From the time I admitted to myself, it took 10 years to overcome.
Leonard, what does being sober mean to you now? I mean, that you didn't know about in your past?
Yeah. Well, being sober is the best life to me. To me, it's like when I was drinking, it's the life is very. I can't explain it to you, because you got to be an alcoholic to find out. But it's the worst life that you could have is being alcoholic. It's hard to interpret that. So when you're an alcoholic is the bad thing. So it's hard to get away from it too. Right up to today. Today I'm still fighting that alcohol.
What does sobriety mean to you and your family?
Oh, it's a tremendous difference. You see, those children that I abandoned when they were babies, the youngest one was just a few months old. There was 19 years went by before I saw the youngest one, or all of them. And during that period of time, I lived in a fantasy world, and you know, just I lived with whores and prostitutes and petty criminals like myself. And today, it's such a tremendous difference. You know, it is a different world entirely. Today, I am successful, respected, looked up to by different people, business people, and my children, I have been able to get reacquainted with them, my grown children and my present family. It's just a totally different world. It's just, it's like a fairy tale, except that it's true. It's just fantastic.
Charles, how do you find being sober and being with your friends and getting to know them again?
It's as if I am sitting on the opposite end of, or becoming the opposite of what I used to be. I know that as letting go, healing. Because just a couple of years ago, I came to the realization that my addictions, whether it was alcohol or drugs, crime, that those were the symptoms of my real problems. They were the symptoms of why, the real reasons why these addictions developed, which makes the difference to know that the alcoholism was the tip of the iceberg, I guess you can say.
Now, Charles, where would you be had you not quit alcohol?
Probably in some graveyard. I don't kid myself about that. Throughout my life, I left a lot of good people who are now in graveyards. But I guess some of us have to survive to tell the tale.
Emilio?
Well, I just feel that I would certainly be dead in my 20s because I lived such a violent life. I figured that I would never live to be 30, and I'll be 51 this year. I just thank God, you know, that I give Him the credit for changing my life. Because in AA, I learned that there is a higher power, and after I left that program, I what they call had a backslip, and I decided, wow, you know, I went there of my own. I chose to go there to that program, and so I wanted a guarantee, you know, I wanted to stay sober. And so I found that in the Holy Bible through Jesus Christ as my higher power, and I give Him the credit for maintaining my sobriety for almost 10 years today. I praise God for that.
Leonard, where do you think you would have been?
Oh, probably in the grave too, like these guys said. The doctors too, that's when I started going to AAs, and they told me to quit. You'll be dead in 5 years if you don't quit. So since then I tried quitting from there.
What do both of you do now with your lives and the experience you had in the past?
Oh, it's really, really exciting. I became a certified alcoholism counselor and substance abuse counselor, and I decided that I would dedicate the rest of my life to helping others, you know, to show them that there's a positive way. I came out of the gutter, you know, out of the sewer, and it's such a tremendous thing. Before, I used to deal with crooked judges and lawyers and politicians as an enforcer. And now today I work with those same type of people, helping people like myself that I was, you know, an alcoholic and drug addict, and to reach sobriety, maintain sobriety, and to become successful. And I have been able to do this. Many, many people that I've been able to help, you know, by the grace of God, and I just enjoy my work tremendously. I travel through Canada and Alaska, the United States, and everywhere. I volunteer to go to prisons, to schools, and churches, groups, you know, and to share that they can do something very positive, you know. Last summer I became a pilot. I thought I'm going to become a pilot, and today I have the opportunity to do that. Before, I was flying high, but it was different kind of flying, you know. It was a kind that leads to a dead end. So I praise God, you know, today for this excitement.
Charles, what do you do with your life, and how do you teach other people?
I carry a lot of wisdom and knowledge because of life experience.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a young man, when I was a teenager, no one walked up to me and shared the kind of wisdom and knowledge that I have. And when I came up to Inuvialuit last April, I had no plans, just to get a job because there was no employment in Whitehorse. I found employment immediately. But the first few months, I had to look at myself, really look at my life. I had already experienced spirituality and learning to understand it. But knowing not too many people up here, I really had to look at my life and where it was heading, sober or not. You know, we're still human. And I've thought, well, all these things I know I'm just using for myself. What good is it? And I've been taught by other natives who understand their spirituality. Mm-hmm. And they always talk about sharing. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, it's about time I quit talking and walking it, to walk my talk. So it seemed like it was designed. I just ran into the right people at the right time, and these healing circles began. And now they're snowballing.
Do you really like yourself now?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I am very content with my life at this point, and again, you know, I just praise God. When I was searching for a guarantee of success in my sobriety, I met Jesus Christ, and in John 8:32 it says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Sounded like a good guarantee to me. And then in John 8:36 it says, "When the Son sets you free, you shall be free indeed." And I said, "I'll take it. I'll take it." And so today I walk with Jesus every day, and every day is successful. Every day is beautiful.
How about you, Travis? What do you find about yourself that you might not have known in the past?
I find myself a good person. Whether I make mistakes or not, I am still a good person. As long as I learn from those mistakes, I can look myself in the eye in the morning when I'm going to have a wash, clean myself. I know what time I go to bed, and I won't know what time I wake up. And I didn't realize how important that was to me. I remember what I dreamed. I remember each day. I am thankful for each day. I have a personal relationship with the Great Spirit. Which I, hopefully as a human being, shall remain humble and respectful and loving and knowing for the rest of the time that He has given me on this earth.
How about you, Leonard?
Well, like you said, he remembers everything. I like remembering myself, you know, like now I respect myself, like to get up in the morning. I like the life here.
I'd like to thank our three guests for sharing in some personal thoughts, and we wish them well in the future.
I like being sober because, like when you're drinking, you just like you're sleeping. I slept for 25, 30 years maybe. Just like now when I got sober, it's like I wake up. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to tell story if I become an elder. You see, just like you sleep for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.